When Millionaire CEO Ethan Cross walked into his corner office that Monday morning, he never expected to see the ghost of his past on her knees, mopping his floor. Naomi Harris, the girl who vanished without a trace 12 years ago, the girl he never stopped loving, was now cleaning up after him in a grey janitor's uniform. But here's the thing, his perfect, polished fiancée wasn't about to let some low-class worker threaten her diamond ring and social status. What started as a shocking reunion exploded into sabotage, public humiliation, and a choice that would cost Ethan everything he'd built, or give him everything he'd lost. Because when Naomi overheard the secret phone call that shattered her trust, she had to decide, was his love real, or was she just another charity case for a guilty rich man? Subscribe right now and comment where you're watching from, because this story is about to prove that love doesn't care about your bank account, but pride and fear can destroy it anyway. The elevator doors opened on the 23rd floor, and Ethan Cross stepped into his world. Marble floors gleamed under crystal chandeliers. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the city skyline like a painting. Everything here spoke of success, of power, of a life built exactly according to plan. He nodded at his assistant, who handed him a tablet loaded with the morning's agenda. Board meeting at 9, merger negotiations at 11, lunch with investors. Another day of running Cross Industries, the empire his father had started, and he had doubled in size. At 30 years old, Ethan had everything most people dreamed of: money, respect, a corner office that overlooked half the city, a beautiful fiancée who looked perfect on his arm at every social event. So why did he feel so empty? He pushed the thought away. He was tired, that's all. He'd stayed up too late reviewing contracts. That hollow feeling in his chest meant nothing. Ethan pushed open his office door, already thinking about the presentation he needed to review before the meeting. The cleaning crew was usually gone by now, but he froze. A woman stood near his desk, pushing a yellow mop across the floor. She wore a plain grey uniform, her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. She moved efficiently, focused on her work, and for a moment Ethan couldn't understand why his heart had suddenly started pounding. Then she turned slightly, and he saw her profile. The tablet slipped from his fingers. It hit the floor with a crack. The woman's head snapped up. Her eyes met his. Those eyes, deep brown, warm as honey in sunlight, eyes he had looked into 1,000 times when he was 17 years old, eyes that had filled his dreams for years after she disappeared. Naomi, the word came out as barely a whisper. She stared at him, and for one brief moment he saw recognition flash across her face. Shock, something that might have been fear. Then her expression went blank, smooth as a mask sliding into place. "Excuse me, sir." Her voice was polite, distant. "I'll be out of your way in just a minute, sir." She had called him sir. Ethan's mind reeled. This couldn't be real. Naomi Harris, his first love, his childhood sweetheart, was standing in his office wearing a janitor's uniform. Naomi, who used to laugh like music. Naomi, who had kissed him under the stars at Riverside Park and promised they'd always find their way back to each other. "Naomi, it's me, Ethan." He took a step forward. "I can't believe, after all these years, I think you have me confused with someone else." She grabbed the mop handle, not looking at him. "My name is Miss Harris. I'm with Elite Cleaning Services." "No?" Ethan shook his head. His heart hammered against his ribs. "No, I'm not confused. You're Naomi Harris. We grew up in Riverside. We went to Jefferson High together. You lived on Oak Street with your dad and your little sister Lila." Her jaw tightened. She still wouldn't meet his eyes. "I used to love strawberry milkshakes from Tony's Diner," Ethan continued, moving closer. Memories flooded back, sharp and clear. "You were terrible at mini-golf, but you always wanted to play anyway. You had a scar on your left knee from when you fell off your bike trying to race me down Miller's Hill." Finally, she looked up. Her eyes blazed with something fierce and proud and wounded all at once. "I'm working," she said, her voice cold. "Leave me alone." She turned away, pushing her cleaning cart toward the door. The wheels squeaked against the marble floor. "Naomi, please." "I said leave me alone." She didn't look back. "I don't know you." The door clicked shut behind her. Ethan stood in the middle of his enormous office, surrounded by leather furniture and expensive art, and felt more lost than he had in years. He bent down and picked up his tablet. The screen had shattered. His hands were shaking. The board meeting was a disaster. Ethan couldn't focus. He stared at the presentation slides without seeing them. His mind kept replaying that moment when Naomi's eyes met his, the flash of recognition before she buried it, The way her hands had gripped that mop handle so tight her knuckles went pale. "Mr. Cross?" The CFO's voice cut through his thoughts. "Your opinion on the quarterly projections?" Ethan blinked. Everyone at the long conference table was staring at him. "Sorry, run those numbers again." His assistant, Monica, gave him a concerned look. Ethan never lost focus in meetings. Never. After what felt like forever, the meeting ended. Ethan returned to his office and closed the door. He loosened his tie, then walked to the window. Below, the city buzzed with life. Thousands of people going about their day, chasing their own dreams and problems. Somewhere down there, Naomi was going about her day too, mopping floors, emptying trash cans, living a life so different from the one she'd dreamed about when they were kids. He pulled out his phone and called down to Human Resources. "This is Ethan Cross. I need you to pull employee records for someone. Last name Harris, first name Naomi. She works for our cleaning service." A pause. Keyboard clicks. "Yes, sir. I have it. Naomi Harris, age 28. Employed through Elite Cleaning Services. Contracted to our building. She's been working the evening shift for about 3 months." 3 months? She'd been here for 3 months and he'd never seen her until today. "Does the file list a home address?" "I'm sorry, Mr. Cross, but I can't release that information without proper authorization. Privacy regulations." "Right. Of course." He rubbed his temples. "Thank you." He ended the call and sank into his leather chair. His office suddenly felt too big, too cold. All this success, all this money, and none of it mattered, not compared to the ache in his chest. Naomi was here. After 12 years of wondering, of searching, of trying to forget, she was here, and she wanted nothing to do with him. That evening, Ethan did something he hadn't done in years. He left work early. At 6 o'clock, he told Monica to cancel his dinner plans and headed down to the lobby. He felt ridiculous, like a teenager trying to accidentally run into his crush, but he needed to see her again, to talk to her, to understand what happened all those years ago when she vanished from his life without a word. The lobby bustled with people leaving for the day. Ethan positioned himself near the coffee shop, pretending to check his phone. His eyes tracked every person coming from the elevator banks. 30 minutes passed, then 45. Finally, he saw her. Naomi walked out with another woman from the cleaning crew, both of them in those gray uniforms. The other woman was laughing about something. Naomi smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. She looked tired, beautiful, but tired. Her hair was still pulled back, and she carried a worn purse over her shoulder. Ethan's feet moved before he could think. He crossed the lobby, timing it so he'd bump into her near the revolving doors. "Naomi." She stopped. Her friend looked between them with curious eyes. "Oh my God," the friend said, grinning. "Is this a boyfriend?" "Girl, you didn't tell me." "He's not my boyfriend." Naomi's voice was sharp. "He's nobody." The words hit Ethan like a punch to the gut. "Naomi, please, can we just talk? 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking." Her friend nudged her. "He's cute, Nay. And those shoes? That watch? Girl, your boyfriend looks loaded." Naomi's cheeks flushed. Embarrassment flashed across her face, and Ethan hated that he'd put it there. Hated that his expensive clothes and his obvious wealth were making this worse. "He's not," Naomi started. "Let me give you a ride home," Ethan said quickly. "It's raining, my car's right outside. I take the bus." "I know, but..." "I said no." Naomi pushed past him toward the doors. "Stop bothering me." He followed her outside. Rain poured from a dark sky, cold and relentless. Within seconds, Naomi was soaked. She kept walking, head down, shoulders hunched against the downpour. "Naomi!" Ethan jogged after her. Rain plastered his hair to his forehead, soaked through his suit jacket. "At least let me..." She spun around. "What do you want from me?" Her voice cracked on the last word. Rain and maybe tears ran down her face. "I just want to understand," Ethan said. "You disappeared. One day you were there, and the next you were gone. No goodbye, no explanation, nothing. For 12 years I wondered what happened to you, if you were okay, if you were happy, and now you're here, and you're acting like we were nothing. Like those summers together meant nothing." Naomi's expression crumbled for just a moment. Pain flickered in her eyes. Then the walls went back up. "Those summers were a long time ago," she said quietly. "We were kids. Life happened. I moved on. You should too." She turned and walked away into the rain. Ethan stood there, water streaming down his face, and watched her go. She reached the bus stop and stood under the small shelter. Even from this distance, he could see her shivering. Every instinct screamed at him to go after her, to wrap his coat around her shoulders, to demand answers, to beg her to remember what they had, but he didn't, because he'd seen something in her eyes. Shame, maybe. Fear. A kind of fierce pride that wouldn't bend. Whatever had happened to Naomi Harris in the past 12 years, it had hurt her, changed her, built walls around her heart so high he wasn't sure how to climb them, but he was going to try. Because some part of him had never stopped loving her, and seeing her again had lit a fire in his chest that 12 years hadn't managed to put out. The next morning, everything went wrong. Ethan arrived at work to find his fiancée, Gwen Carter, waiting in his office. She wore a cream designer suit and had her blonde hair styled in perfect waves. She looked like she'd stepped out of a magazine spread, beautiful, polished, and completely cold. "Darling," she kissed his cheek without warmth. "We need to talk about the caterers for the engagement party. They're being impossible about the menu changes." Ethan moved behind his desk. "Can this wait? I have back-to-back meetings this morning." "The party is in 2 weeks." Gwen's perfectly shaped eyebrows rose. "Unless you don't care about our celebration?" He did care, or at least he thought he should care. Gwen came from the right family. She understood his world, his responsibilities. Their marriage made sense on paper. A merger of 2 wealthy families, strengthening business connections, presenting the right image. It all made perfect sense. So why did it feel so wrong? "Fine. Email me the options and I'll look at them tonight." Gwen frowned, clearly wanting more attention than that, but nodded. "Very well. Oh, and there was something else. I saw the most awful thing yesterday when I stopped by. One of the cleaning women was doing such a poor job in the executive conference room. Streaks on the windows, dust on the shelves. Completely unacceptable." Ethan's head snapped up. "Which cleaning woman?" "I don't know her name. Black girl, ponytail. Looked lazy, honestly. I filed a complaint with that Lawson man who runs the cleaning service." Gwen examined her manicure. "Really, Ethan, you should keep higher standards for—" "Her name is Naomi." Gwen blinked. "What? The woman you complained about? Her name is Naomi Harris, and she's not lazy." "How would you know?" "Because I've known her since she was 16. Because she used to work 3 jobs to help her dad pay rent. Because she's the most determined person I've ever met. Just trust me on this," Ethan said tightly. Gwen's eyes narrowed. "You're being very strange lately." Before Ethan could respond, his phone buzzed. His assistant's voice came through the intercom. "Mr. Cross, there's a Mr. Lawson here from Elite Cleaning. He says it's urgent." Ethan's stomach dropped. "Send him in." Mr. Lawson was a stocky man in his 50s with kind eyes and worry lines creasing his forehead. He held his hat in his hands, twisting it nervously. "Mr. Cross, I'm sorry to bother you, but we received a complaint yesterday about one of my workers. Miss Harris, the complaint said she was doing substandard work and recommended we terminate her contract." He cleared his throat. "Now, Naomi is one of my best employees. Never late, never cuts corners, always professional. But your company is our biggest client, and if someone in authority says she's not meeting standards—" He trailed off, the implication clear. "Fire Naomi, or lose the contract." Gwen stood, smoothing her skirt. "Well, I'm glad someone is taking this seriously. Standards are important, Mr. Lawson." Ethan looked at Gwen, really looked at her, and felt something shift inside him. This woman he was supposed to marry had just tried to get Naomi fired over something petty, maybe nothing at all, because that's who Gwen was, someone who stepped on people she considered beneath her without a second thought. "Mr. Lawson," Ethan said carefully, "Miss Harris is an excellent employee. The complaint was filed in error. Please disregard it completely." "But I specifically—" Gwen started. "You were mistaken," Ethan cut her off. His voice was steel. "Mr. Lawson, please make sure this doesn't affect Miss Harris's employment in any way. In fact, I'd like to formally commend her work. She goes above and beyond." Mr. Lawson's relieved smile was genuine. "Thank you, Mr. Cross. I knew Naomi wouldn't let us down. I'll let her know right away that everything is fine." After Lawson left, Gwen stared at Ethan like he'd grown a second head. "What was that about?" "Nothing." "That didn't sound like nothing. You've never cared about the cleaning staff before." "Maybe I should have." Ethan picked up a file, signaling the conversation was over. "I'll talk to you later, Gwen." She left in a huff, her heels clicking sharply against the floor. Ethan sank into his chair and closed his eyes. He'd just saved Naomi's job, but at what cost? She'd probably hear about it and think exactly what he feared she'd think, that he was treating her like a charity case, someone who needed his rescue. The thought made his chest ache. At lunch, Ethan couldn't focus on the sandwich Monica had brought him. He pushed it aside and headed down to the break room on the 3rd floor, where he knew the cleaning staff took their breaks. He found Naomi there, sitting alone at a small table. She had a paper bag in front of her, a packed lunch. She was reading something on an old cracked phone. She looked up when he entered, and her expression immediately closed off. "Mr. Cross." Formal, distant. "It's Ethan. Please, just call me Ethan. I'm on my break." She looked back down at her phone. "I know. I wanted to talk to you about this morning." Her jaw tightened. "Mr. Lawson told me what you did. He thanked me for having such a powerful friend looking out for me." The bitterness in her voice cut deep. "That's not what it was," Ethan said. "Gwen filed that complaint to be cruel. You didn't deserve— I don't need you to save me. I wasn't trying to—" "Yes, you were." Naomi stood, her chair scraping against the linoleum floor. "You've been trying to save me since you saw me 2 days ago. Poor Naomi, cleaning floors. Poor Naomi, taking the bus in the rain. Let me swoop in with my money and my power and fix everything. That's not fair, isn't it?" Her eyes flashed. "You live in a world I'll never be part of. Designer suits, fancy offices, fiancés who look like supermodels. And here I am, mopping up after you and your rich friends. Of course you see me as someone who needs saving." Ethan took a step closer. "I see you as the girl who taught me what it meant to really care about someone. The girl who made me laugh harder than anyone else. The girl who believed in me when my father said I'd never amount to anything." For a moment, just a moment, her expression softened. "You asked about my parents," Ethan said quietly. "My mom passed away 5 years ago. Cancer. My dad, he's remarried, living in Florida. We don't talk much." "I'm sorry," Naomi whispered, "about your mom. She was always kind to me. She loved you. She asked about you right until the end. Wanted to know if I'd ever found you." Naomi's eyes glistened. She looked away, blinking rapidly. "What happened to you, Ethan?" "You just vanished. I went to your house and it was empty. No forwarding address, nothing. I asked everyone, but nobody knew where you'd gone. I thought maybe I'd done something wrong, that you left because of me." "No." The word burst out of her. "It wasn't you." "Then what was it?" She was quiet for a long moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely audible. "My dad died. Heart attack, sudden. One day he was fine. The next he was gone. Lila was only 12. Child services wanted to split us up, put her in foster care. I couldn't let that happen. So I lied about my age, took 3 jobs and moved us to a cheaper apartment across town. I was 18 and barely surviving. I didn't have time for—" She trailed off. "For me," Ethan finished. "For anything." Naomi's voice broke. "I'm sorry I disappeared. I'm sorry I hurt you. But I did what I had to do for my sister." Ethan's heart cracked. All these years he'd wondered. He'd imagined 100 different scenarios, but he'd never imagined this. Naomi, barely an adult, sacrificing everything to keep her family together. "You should have told me," he said. "I would have helped. My family would have—" "Your family?" Naomi laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Your father hated that you were dating me. He made that very clear. We were from different worlds then, Ethan. We're from different worlds now. I don't care about different worlds. You should." She picked up her phone and lunch bag. "Because I'm not some fairy tale princess waiting to be rescued. I'm tired, I'm broke, and I clean toilets for a living. That's my reality, and no amount of childhood nostalgia is going to change it." She moved toward the door. "Naomi, wait." She paused, her back to him. "Those summers we spent together," Ethan said. "You told me once that love was about seeing someone exactly as they are and choosing them anyway. Remember?" Her shoulders tensed. "I see you, Naomi, and I choose you. Still, always." She turned her head slightly, not quite looking at him. "We're not kids anymore, Ethan. It's not that simple." "Maybe it is." "It's not." Her voice was firm but sad. "You have your life. I have mine. Let's just leave it at that." She walked out, leaving Ethan alone in the break room with the hum of the fluorescent lights and an ache in his chest that felt like it might never heal. But even as despair threatened to swallow him, something else stirred. Determination. Hope. Because for just a moment, he'd seen past her walls. He'd seen the real Naomi underneath, the one who still remembered those summers, the one who still felt something. She could push him away all she wanted. He wasn't giving up. Not this time. That night, Ethan sat in his penthouse apartment with a glass of wine he wasn't drinking. The city glittered outside his floor-to-ceiling windows, beautiful and cold and lonely. His phone buzzed. A text from Gwen. "Dinner tomorrow. We need to finalize the guest list." He stared at the message for a long time. Then he thought about Naomi's words. "Your fiancé who looks like a supermodel." What was he doing? He was engaged to a woman he didn't love, planning a wedding that felt like a business transaction. living a life that looked perfect from the outside, but felt empty inside. And then Naomi had walked back into his world, and suddenly everything became clear. All the things he'd been ignoring, all the feelings he'd been burying, they came rushing to the surface. Ethan set down his phone without answering. Instead, he pulled out an old shoebox from the back of his closet. Inside were photographs, ticket stubs, little mementos he'd kept from high school, things he probably should have thrown away years ago but couldn't. There, a photo of him and Naomi at the county fair. They were 17, standing in front of the Ferris wheel. Naomi was laughing, her head thrown back, joy radiating from every part of her. He had his arm around her waist, looking at her like she was his entire world, because she had been. Ethan traced his finger over the photo. That boy in the picture had been happier than the man he'd become. That boy had known what mattered. It was time to remember. The next morning, Ethan stopped at a coffee shop before work. He ordered 2 coffees, one black, one with cream, and 2 sugars, the way Naomi used to drink it. He also picked up a pack of strawberry Pop-Tarts, her favorite breakfast when they were kids. She used to eat them cold, straight from the package, while they sat on the swings at Riverside Park. His assistant gave him a strange look when he arrived with the extra coffee and snacks. "Monica, what floor does the cleaning crew work on in the mornings?" They rotate, sir, but I think they start on the executive floors around 7. It was 7:30 now. Ethan grabbed the coffee and Pop-Tarts and headed for the stairs. He found Naomi on the 21st floor, cleaning the hallway windows. She didn't see him at first. He watched her work, efficient, thorough, focused. She moved like someone who took pride in doing things right, even when the job was hard. "Morning," he said softly. She jumped, nearly dropping her spray bottle. When she saw it was him, her expression shifted between annoyance and something else, something softer. "Mr. Cross..." "Ethan, please, what are you doing here?" He held out the coffee. "I brought you this, cream and 2 sugars, and these." He showed her the Pop-Tarts. "I remember they were your favorite." Naomi stared at the items in his hands like they might bite her. "I can't accept that." "Why not?" "Because..." She struggled for words. "Because it's not appropriate. You're a client, sort of, and I'm working. I'm a person who remembered his old friend likes coffee and Pop-Tarts," Ethan said. "That's all, no strings attached." She looked at the coffee cup. He could see her resolve wavering. "Please," he added quietly, "let me do this one small thing." Finally, she took the coffee. Her fingers brushed his for just a second. The touch sent electricity up his arm. "Thank you," she murmured. "You're welcome." He set the Pop-Tarts on a nearby desk and turned to leave. "Give her space. Don't push too hard." "Ethan." He turned back. She was holding the coffee cup with both hands, like it was something precious. "I'm sorry I was harsh yesterday. You were trying to be nice, and I..." She took a breath. "It's hard for me. Accepting help. It feels like weakness." "It's not weakness. It's just being human." Their eyes met. For a moment, the years between them didn't matter. They were just Ethan and Naomi again, 2 people who once meant everything to each other. Then Naomi's radio crackled. Her supervisor's voice cut through the moment. "Naomi, you copy? We need you on floor 18, spill in the conference room." She grabbed the radio. "Copy that. On my way." She gave Ethan one last look, complicated, full of things unsaid, then hurried toward the elevator. Ethan stood in the empty hallway, and for the first time in days, he smiled. It was a start. Over the next week, Ethan left small gifts for Naomi. Nothing expensive, nothing that would make her uncomfortable, just little reminders that he was thinking of her. A note tucked near her cleaning cart. "Remember when we tried to build that treehouse and it collapsed? You laughed so hard you cried." I miss that laugh. A pack of her favorite gum in the break room with her name on it. Song lyrics printed on nice paper left on her cart. "Stand by me. You said this was your dad's favorite song. Mine too now." He never stayed to see her find them. He didn't want to pressure her. He just wanted her to know that she mattered, that she'd always mattered. At night, he lay awake thinking about her, wondering if she was okay, if she had enough to eat, if her apartment was warm, if Lila was doing well in school. He wanted to know everything, to be part of her life again. But he knew he had to be patient. Still, the small gestures were working. He could tell. When he passed Naomi in the hallway, she didn't avoid his eyes anymore. Sometimes she even gave him a tiny smile. Progress. One morning, he left a note that said, "Coffee? Just as friends. No pressure. Tony's Diner, Saturday at 10 a.m. I'll be there if you want to come." Then he waited. Saturday morning dawned gray and cold. Ethan sat in a booth at Tony's Diner. The same diner where he and Naomi used to spend hours talking about their dreams. The place hadn't changed much. Red vinyl booths, checkered floor, a jukebox in the corner that still played oldies. He ordered coffee and waited. 10 o'clock came and went, then 10:15, 10:30. She wasn't coming. Ethan's heart sank. He'd pushed too hard, asked for too much too soon. Then the bell above the door chimed. Naomi walked in, wearing jeans and a simple blue sweater. Her hair was down, falling in soft waves around her shoulders. She looked nervous, beautiful and nervous. Their eyes met across the diner. She walked over slowly and slid into the booth across from him. "Hi," she said. "Hi." Ethan couldn't stop smiling. "You came. I almost didn't." She fiddled with the menu. "This is probably a bad idea, or it's the best idea either of us has had in a long time." The waitress came over, Donna, who'd been working there since they were kids. Her eyes widened when she saw them together. "Well, I'll be. Ethan Cross and Naomi Harris. Haven't seen you two in here together since, goodness, must be over a decade." "Hi, Donna," Naomi said with a shy smile. "The usual? 2 chocolate milkshakes and a plate of fries to share?" Naomi laughed, actually laughed. The sound was like music. "We're probably too old for that much sugar," she said. "Speak for yourself," Ethan said. "I'll take a chocolate milkshake and fries, extra crispy." "Make that 2, Naomi added. Donna winked and walked away. They sat in awkward silence for a moment. Then they both started talking at the same time. "I've been thinking." They stopped, laughed nervously. "You first," Ethan said. Naomi took a breath. "I wanted to thank you for the coffee and the notes and everything. It was really sweet. Nobody's done anything like that for me in a long time." "You deserve sweet things, Naomi. You always did." She looked down at the table. "I'm not the same girl you knew. That Naomi was young and hopeful and had dreams. This Naomi is just trying to survive. I don't believe that. You're still you. Maybe life knocked you around, but you're still the strongest person I know." "Strong?" She shook her head. "I'm barely holding it together most days. I work 2 jobs. My apartment has mold in the bathroom. My car broke down 3 months ago and I can't afford to fix it. I'm one emergency away from losing everything." The pain in her voice broke his heart. "I'm sorry life's been so hard." "It is what it is." She shrugged, trying to seem casual, but he could see the weight she carried. "Lila graduates next year. She got accepted to community college. I'm so proud of her. But tuition, books, everything. I don't know how we're going to manage." Ethan wanted to say he'd pay for it, all of it, but he bit his tongue. That would only push her away. Instead, he said, "She's lucky to have you. Not many 18-year-olds would have done what you did. She's my sister. I didn't have a choice. You always have a choice. You chose love. That's everything." Donna brought their milkshakes and fries. They looked exactly the same as they had 12 years ago. Same tall glasses, same whipped cream and cherry on top, same golden fries piled high. Naomi picked up a fry and smiled. "Remember when we tried to eat 100 fries each, and you got to 78 and gave up?" "I didn't give up. I strategically withdrew." They both laughed, and just like that, the awkwardness melted away. They talked about silly things from high school. The time Ethan accidentally called Mr. Peterson Dad in math class. The time Naomi's science project exploded in the cafeteria. The school play where they were both terrible in their roles but had fun anyway. For an hour they were just Ethan and Naomi again. 2 people who'd once known each other better than anyone. "I missed this," Naomi said softly, stirring her milkshake with her straw. "Feeling normal, like I'm not just surviving but actually living." "You deserve to live, Naomi. Really live. Not just survive. That's easy for you to say. You have everything." "Do I?" Ethan leaned forward. "I have money, sure. Success. All the things society says matter. But I'm engaged to someone I don't love. I work 80 hours a week at a job that doesn't fulfill me. I go home to an empty apartment and wonder what the point of it all is." He paused. "Then I saw you, and suddenly I remembered what it felt like to actually care about something. Someone." Naomi's eyes glistened. "Ethan, I'm not saying this to pressure you. I just want you to know. Seeing you again, it woke something up in me, something I thought was dead." She reached across the table. Her hand covered his, warm and small and real. "I'm scared," she whispered. "Of what?" "Of this. Of you. Of getting hurt again." She pulled her hand back. "Life taught me that hoping for good things only leads to disappointment. It's safer to keep walls up. Safe isn't the same as happy." "No," she admitted, "but it hurts less." They sat in silence for a moment. Outside, the gray sky had started to clear. A bit of sunlight broke through the clouds. "Can I ask you something?" Ethan said. "Okay. Do you ever think about us? About what we had?" Naomi bit her lip. "All the time." His heart soared. "But thinking about it doesn't change anything," she continued. "You're still you and I'm still me. We live in different worlds. What if I don't care about different worlds? What if all I care about is you? What about your fiancé?" The question hung in the air between them. "That's complicated," Ethan said. "See? It's impossible. Nothing's impossible if we want it enough." Naomi finished her milkshake and stood. "I should go. Lila's home alone, and I need to—" "Let me meet her." Naomi froze. "What? Your sister? I'd like to meet her, see how she's doing." "Ethan, that's not a good idea." "Why not?" "Because—" she struggled. "Because if you meet her, this becomes real. And I can't— I'm not ready for real." "Okay." He stood too. "No pressure, but the offer stands. Whenever you're ready." They walked out of the diner together. The sun was fully out now, warming the cold morning. At the parking lot, Naomi stopped. "Thank you for today. It was nice to remember what normal feels like. Anytime. Really." She smiled, a real smile that lit up her whole face, and walked toward the bus stop. Ethan watched her go, and this time he wasn't sad, because she'd come. She'd opened up, even just a little. She'd held his hand. It was enough, for now. 3 days later, Ethan did something he'd been putting off for too long. He met Gwen for dinner at an expensive restaurant downtown. She was already there, looking perfect in a black dress and pearls. "Darling, finally. I was beginning to think you were avoiding me." Ethan sat down. "We need to talk." Something in his tone made her pause. "What's wrong?" "This engagement. Us. It's not working." Gwen's eyes narrowed. "What are you talking about?" "Be honest, Gwen. Are you happy?" "Happy? We're planning the social event of the season. Our wedding will be in every magazine. Of course I'm happy. But do you love me?" She blinked. "Love? Ethan, we're adults. Love is for teenagers. We have respect, compatibility, similar goals. That's not love. It's better than love. It's practical." Ethan shook his head. "I can't marry you, I'm sorry, but I can't." Gwen's face went pale, then red. "You cannot be serious. The invitations are ordered. The venue is booked. My mother has told everyone, I'll pay for everything, cancel it all, but I can't go through with this. Is there someone else?" Her voice was sharp as glass. Ethan hesitated. "There is." Gwen's laugh was bitter. "Let me guess. That janitor, the one you defended. This isn't about her." "Liar." Gwen stood, her chair scraping loudly. Several diners turned to look. "You're throwing away everything, your reputation, your social standing, our future, for some cleaning woman. Don't talk about her like that." "Why? Because the truth hurts?" Gwen grabbed her purse. "You're making a huge mistake, Ethan. You'll regret this." "I won't. She's using you, can't you see? She's after your money." "Naomi's not like that. Every woman is like that." Gwen's eyes blazed. "Mark my words, this will end badly. And when it does, don't come crawling back to me." She stormed out, leaving Ethan sitting alone at the table. He felt lighter, like a weight he'd been carrying for months had finally lifted. He paid the bill and walked out into the night. His phone buzzed. A text from his assistant. "Your mother's engagement ring, the one you gave to Gwen. She just had it delivered back to the office." Ethan smiled. Good. That ring belonged to someone who actually meant something to him. It belonged to Naomi. Someday, if she'd have him, he'd give it to her. 2 weeks passed. Ethan continued leaving small notes for Naomi. She continued finding them and tucking them away with a small smile. They had coffee together twice more at Tony's diner. The conversations got easier, the silences more comfortable. One evening, Ethan was working late when his phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Hi. This is Naomi." Her voice sounded shaky. "I'm sorry to bother you, but I need help. I locked my keys in my apartment, and the landlord won't come until tomorrow, and it's cold, and I don't have anywhere to—" "Where are you?" She gave him the address. 20 minutes later, Ethan pulled up to a run-down apartment building in a part of town he'd never visited, the kind of place with broken streetlights and bars on the windows. Naomi sat on the front steps, hugging herself against the cold. She looked small and tired and utterly defeated. Ethan jumped out of his car. "Hey, you okay? I'm such an idiot. I was carrying groceries and the door closed behind me and—" She shook her head. "I didn't know who else to call. Lila's staying with a friend tonight and I just—" "It's okay. Come on. You can stay at my place." "What? No, I couldn't. Naomi, it's freezing. My apartment has a guest room. You'll be safe and warm, please." She looked at him, and he saw the moment she gave in. Too tired to argue, too cold to refuse. "Okay, thank you." They drove across town in silence. The city transformed around them, from broken streets to clean ones, from darkness to light. Finally, they reached Ethan's building. A doorman opened the car door. Naomi's eyes went wide. "You live here?" "Yeah." The elevator ride to the penthouse was awkward. Naomi stared at the marble floor, the crystal fixtures. When the doors opened directly into his apartment, she gasped. "This is... wow." "It's too big for one person," Ethan admitted. "I always thought when I got married..." He trailed off. "Right, your fiancé." Naomi's voice was carefully neutral. "Where is she?" "We're not engaged anymore. I ended it 2 weeks ago." Naomi's head snapped toward him. "What? Why?" "Because I didn't love her, and I couldn't marry someone I didn't love." Their eyes met. Something electric passed between them. "The guest room is down this hall," Ethan said quickly, leading her away from the moment. "There's a bathroom attached. Help yourself to anything you need. I'll order some dinner. Chinese food, okay? You don't have to. I want to." While they waited for the food, Naomi wandered around the living room, looking at his things. Books on the shelves, photos on the mantel. "Is this your mum?" She picked up a frame. "Yeah, that was taken about a year before she got sick. She was beautiful." Naomi set it down gently. "I'm sorry you lost her." "Me too." The food arrived. They ate on the couch, passing cartons back and forth, and somehow it felt more intimate than any fancy dinner Ethan had ever attended. "This is surreal," Naomi said, looking around. 2 weeks ago I was avoiding you. Now I'm eating lo mein in your penthouse. Life's funny that way." "Is it? Funny, I mean." "Sometimes." He set down his chopsticks. "Naomi, can I tell you something?" "Okay. I never stopped loving you." The words hung in the air. Naomi froze, a piece of orange chicken halfway to her mouth. "What?" "After you disappeared, I looked for you. For years. I hired investigators. I checked social media constantly. I asked everyone we knew. Nothing." He moved closer. "I told myself to move on. I dated other people, got engaged, built this whole life, but there was always this emptiness inside me, this piece missing. And then you walked into my office and I realized you were the missing piece." "You've always been the missing piece." Tears rolled down Naomi's cheeks. "Ethan, You don't have to say anything. I just needed you to know." She set down her food and turned to face him fully. "I never stopped loving you either." His heart nearly stopped. "But I'm terrified," she continued. "What we had was beautiful, but we were kids. We didn't have rent and bills and responsibilities. Real life is messy and hard, and love doesn't always survive it. So we fight for it. We choose each other every day, even when it's hard." "You make it sound so simple." "Maybe it is." Naomi looked at him with those beautiful brown eyes, full of fear and hope and longing. Then she leaned forward and kissed him. The kiss was soft at first, tentative, like they were both afraid to break something precious. Then it deepened, and Ethan felt like he was coming home after 12 years of being lost. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Naomi's eyes were wide with shock. "I shouldn't have done that. I'm glad you did. This is crazy. We barely know each other anymore." "Then let's get to know each other again, starting right now." She shook her head, but she was smiling. "You're impossible." "Is that a yes?" "It's a maybe. A confused maybe." Ethan laughed and pulled her back to him. She rested her head on his shoulder, and they sat like that for a long time, just holding each other. Outside the penthouse windows, the city sparkled like a million tiny stars, and for the first time in years, Ethan felt truly, completely happy. The next morning, Naomi woke up in the softest bed she'd ever slept in. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she remembered Ethan's apartment, the kiss, everything. She sat up, panic flooding through her. What had she done? A knock on the door. "Naomi, you awake?" Ethan's voice. "I made coffee." She opened the door. He stood there in sweatpants and a t-shirt, holding 2 mugs. His hair was messy from sleep. He looked younger like this, more like the boy she remembered. "Morning," he said with a shy smile. "Sleep okay?" "Too well, actually." She took the coffee. "That bed is like sleeping on a cloud." They stood there awkwardly. Last night felt like a dream. Now in the morning light, reality crashed back in. "About last night," Naomi started. "Don't." Ethan set his mug down. "Don't apologize for it. Don't say it was a mistake. Please." "But I meant everything I said. I love you, Naomi. I know it's complicated and messy and probably crazy, but I love you. Her heart squeezed. This is all moving so fast. Then we'll slow down. We'll take it one day at a time, but don't run away from this. From us. Naomi looked into his eyes and saw nothing but sincerity. This wasn't some rich guy looking for a thrill. This was Ethan, her Ethan, who used to hold her hand during scary movies and bring her wildflowers from the park. One day at a time, she repeated softly. Starting with today, let me drive you home. Help you get back into your apartment. She nodded. Okay. When they pulled up to Naomi's building in Ethan's expensive car, she felt embarrassed all over again. The contrast was so stark. His world versus hers. But Ethan didn't seem to notice. He helped her call a locksmith and waited with her on the steps until the guy arrived. He paid for the service before Naomi could protest. Consider it a loan, he said when she tried to argue. You can pay me back whenever. I will, I always pay my debts. I know, you're the most independent person I've ever met. He touched her cheek gently. But sometimes it's okay to let people help. It doesn't make you weak. After she got back inside, Naomi sat on her worn couch and tried to process everything. Her apartment felt even smaller now, more shabby. The walls were thin. She could hear her neighbor's TV. The heater rattled. Paint peeled in the corners. This was her life, and Ethan's life was everything else. How could this possibly work? Her phone buzzed. A text from Ethan. Dinner tomorrow? I'd really like to meet Lila. Only if you're ready. Naomi stared at the message. Meeting Lila meant this was real, meant she was letting Ethan into her world completely. Was she ready for that? She thought about the kiss, about how safe she'd felt sleeping in his guest room, about the way he looked at her like she was precious. Before she could overthink it, she typed back, "Okay, come over at 6, I'll cook." His response was immediate. "Can't wait." Naomi smiled despite her nerves. Then she went to the kitchen to figure out what she could possibly cook that wouldn't be embarrassing. The next evening, Naomi was a wreck. She'd cleaned the apartment 3 times, changed her outfit 4 times, made spaghetti because it was the only thing she knew how to cook well. Lila watched her with amused eyes. At 24, Lila was beautiful and confident in ways Naomi had never been. She had their father's smile and their mother's grace. "You're being ridiculous," Lila said, leaning against the kitchen counter. "It's just dinner." "It's not just dinner, this is Ethan." The guy you've been moping about for 12 years? That Ethan?" "I haven't been moping. Please, you talk about him in your sleep." Naomi threw a dish towel at her sister. "I do not." "Do too." Lila caught the towel and grinned. "I'm glad he's back. Maybe now you'll finally let yourself be happy." "It's complicated, Lila. He's rich. I'm not. So what? Love doesn't care about bank accounts. You're young, you don't understand how the world works, and you're scared, I get it. But don't let fear ruin this." Lila came over and hugged her. "You deserve good things, Nay. You've given up everything for me. Let yourself have this." A knock on the door made them both jump. "He's here," Naomi whispered. "Well, don't just stand there, answer it." Naomi smoothed her dress, a simple blue one that Lila said brought out her eyes, and opened the door. Ethan stood there with flowers and a nervous smile. He'd dressed down, wearing jeans and a casual button-up. Trying not to look too fancy, she realized, trying to fit into her world. The gesture made her heart melt. "Hi," he said. "These are for you. And these," he pulled out a second bouquet, "are for Lila. You brought flowers for my sister. I wanted to make a good first impression." Naomi couldn't help but smile. "Come in." Ethan stepped inside and she saw him taking everything in. The cramped space, the second-hand furniture, the water stain on the ceiling they couldn't afford to fix. But his expression didn't change. No judgment, no pity, just genuine interest. "Naomi talks about you all the time," Lila said, appearing from the kitchen. "I'm Lila. Ethan." He shook her hand, then gave her the flowers. "It's great to finally meet you." "Finally?" "You make it sound like Naomi's been hiding me. More like I've been dying to meet the little sister she sacrificed everything for." Lila's expression softened. "She told you about that?" "Some. I'd love to hear more if you're willing to share." They sat down to dinner, and to Naomi's surprise, it wasn't awkward at all. Ethan asked Lila about school, her plans for college, her dreams. He listened like he genuinely cared. Made jokes that had Lila laughing so hard, she snorted soda out of her nose. "Oh my God," Lila gasped, wiping her face. "I can't believe you two tried to steal a golf cart." "In our defense," Ethan said, "we were going to return it. After joyriding through the park at midnight," Naomi added, laughing at the memory, "we got caught by the security guard. Your dad had to come pick us up from the park office. He was so mad, Ethan said, but your dad thought it was hilarious. He kept making jokes about young love and bad decisions. The mention of their father made Lila's smile fade a little. I miss him. I was so young when he died. Sometimes I worry I'm forgetting him. You're not, Naomi said softly. You have his laugh, his terrible puns, his big heart. Naomi keeps him alive by telling me stories, Lila said to Ethan. Every year on his birthday, we go to his favorite diner and order his favorite meal. It's our tradition. That's beautiful, Ethan said. Then hesitantly, would it be okay if I joined you sometime? I'd like to honor his memory too. He was always kind to me. Lila looked at Naomi, then back at Ethan. I'd like that. After dinner, they played board games. Naomi couldn't remember the last time she'd laughed this much. Ethan fit into their little family like a missing puzzle piece. When it was time for him to leave, Lila gave him a hug. You're good for her, she whispered, just loud enough for Naomi to hear. Don't mess it up. I won't, Ethan promised. Naomi walked him to the door. Outside in the hallway, he pulled her close. Thank you for tonight, for letting me in. Thank you for being so great with Lila. She's amazing. You did an incredible job raising her. I just tried to love her enough for both parents. You succeeded, he kissed her forehead. Can I take you both somewhere this weekend? Somewhere special. Where? It's a surprise, but I think you'll like it. Naomi hesitated, then nodded. Okay. But nothing too fancy. I promise. He kissed her then, soft and sweet and full of promise. When he pulled away, his eyes were bright. Good night, Naomi. Good night. She watched him walk down the hallway, and her heart felt lighter than it had in years. Saturday morning, Ethan picked them up in a normal car, not his usual expensive one. They drove across town, and Naomi realized where they were going. Tony's diner, and then the park. I thought we could spend the day reliving old memories. Is that okay? Lila bounced in the back seat. Are you kidding? Naomi's told me about this place 1,000,000 times. I've always wanted to go. Inside the diner, they crammed into a booth. Ethan ordered way too much food. Milkshakes, fries, burgers, pie. Lila's eyes went wide. We can't eat all this. We can try, Ethan said with a grin. They ate and laughed and told stories. Donna, the waitress, kept refilling their drinks and smiling at them like they were her own kids. After lunch, they walked to Riverside Park, the place where Naomi and Ethan had spent countless summer evenings. It looked the same. Tall trees, a small pond, swings that creaked when you pushed them. Race you to the swings! Lila took off running. Naomi and Ethan followed, hand in hand. They pushed Lila on the swings until she begged them to stop. Then they walked around the pond, Lila running ahead to look at the ducks. This is perfect, Naomi said softly. Just like old times, but better. Better how? Because I'm not 18 and terrified anymore, because I know what matters now. She squeezed his hand. Thank you for this. Thank you for giving us a chance. They found their old spot, a bench under a huge oak tree. Someone had carved initials into the trunk. Naomi ran her fingers over them. EC plus NH. You did that, she said, the summer before I left. I wanted everyone to know you were mine. I was. I am. She turned to face him. Ethan, I'm still scared, but I'm willing to try, to see where this goes. He cupped her face in his hands. That's all I'm asking. They kissed under the oak tree while Lila pretended not to watch from the pond, and for the first time in 12 years, Naomi felt whole. The next week, everything seemed perfect. Ethan took Naomi on real dates, movies, museums, quiet dinners. He never pushed for more than she was ready to give, never made her feel less than. Then came the company gala. Ethan had invited her as his date. Naomi had been nervous about it for days. This was his world. Fancy people in expensive clothes talking about things she didn't understand. You don't have to go, Ethan said when he picked her up. I know these things aren't fun. I want to. I want to be part of your life, all of it. He'd bought her a dress, a simple but elegant black gown. She'd protested, but he insisted. Let me do this, please. Now standing in the hotel ballroom surrounded by wealth and glamour, Naomi felt completely out of place. Women in diamonds looked at her curiously. Men in tuxedos whispered behind their hands. And then she saw Gwen. Ethan's ex-fiancée stood across the room, looking like a model in a designer gown. When her eyes landed on Naomi, they filled with pure venom. She's here, Naomi whispered to Ethan. Ignore her. She doesn't matter. But Gwen was already making her way over, a fake smile plastered on her perfect face. Ethan, darling, and you must be the new girlfriend. She looked Naomi up and down. How quaint. Gwen, don't! Ethan's voice was a warning. I'm just making conversation. So tell me, dear, what do you do? Naomi lifted her chin. I work in cleaning services. Oh, Gwen's laugh was sharp. How industrious. I suppose someone has to clean up after the rest of us. That's enough, Ethan said. I'm just curious how you two met. Let me guess, she was cleaning your office and you felt charitable. Heat flooded Naomi's face. Around them, people had stopped talking. They were listening, watching. We've known each other since high school, Ethan said coldly. Not that it's any of your business. High school sweethearts, how adorable. And then what? She disappeared. Couldn't keep up with your lifestyle? Gwen's eyes glittered with malice. Oh, I see. She's a gold digger. She left, got desperate, and came crawling back when she found out you were rich. Stop talking now. Ethan stepped between them, but the damage was done. Naomi could feel everyone staring, judging, whispering. Gold digger. Using him. Doesn't belong here. I need air, she whispered. She turned and fled, heels clicking across the marble floor. Behind her, she heard Ethan's voice, loud and clear. Listen to me, all of you. That woman is worth 10 of everyone in this room. She's kind, strong, and real. If any of you have a problem with her, you have a problem with me. Naomi paused at the door, tears streaming down her face. She turned and saw Ethan standing in the middle of the ballroom, facing down the crowd, choosing her, publicly, in front of everyone who mattered in his world. Her heart broke and soared at the same time. He found her in the hallway, crying against the wall. Hey, don't let her get to you. Everyone was staring. They all think, I don't care what they think. I care about you. He wiped her tears with his thumbs. I love you, Naomi. The whole world can know it. I'm not ashamed. I'm proud. She kissed him desperately, pouring all her fear and gratitude and love into it. Let's get out of here, he whispered against her lips. They left the gala and drove to Riverside Park, sat on their bench under the stars, just like they used to. I'm sorry I put you through that, Ethan said. You didn't. Gwen did. Still, you shouldn't have to deal with people like her. If I'm with you, I will. Your world is full of people like her. Then we'll face them together. They stargazed and talked about the future, about dreams and possibilities, about maybe, just maybe, building a life together. I want to help you, Ethan said carefully, with bills, with Lila's college, with everything. Not because I pity you, but because I love you, and I want to make your life easier. Ethan, just think about it. You don't have to decide now, but the offer stands. Whatever you need, I'm here. Naomi leaned against his shoulder, feeling safer than she ever had. Later that night, after Ethan dropped her off, Naomi floated into her apartment. Lila was still up, studying. How was it? Perfect. Hard, but perfect. Naomi went to get water from the kitchen. That's when she heard it, Ethan's voice coming from outside. He must have stopped to take a call before driving away. She moved to the window. Yes, I want to pay off all her debts, Ethan was saying into his phone. Credit cards, medical bills, everything. Just find out how much and transfer the money, but keep it anonymous. She can't know it came from me. Naomi's blood ran cold. I don't care what it costs, Ethan continued. Just make it happen, and look into Lila's college fund. I want to cover all 4 years. Full tuition, room and board, everything. The world tilted. Naomi stepped back from the window, her chest tight. She couldn't breathe. He was trying to buy her, to fix her problems with money, to turn her into his charity project. So I am your charity case. All those sweet words, all those promises, they weren't about love. They were about a rich man trying to save a poor girl, about pity dressed up as romance. She'd been such a fool. Lila came into the kitchen. Nay, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. He doesn't love me, Naomi whispered. He pities me. What are you talking about? Ethan, I heard him on the phone. He's trying to pay off all my debts, cover your college. Her voice broke. He's trying to fix me like I'm some broken thing. Maybe he just wants to help. Help? Naomi laughed bitterly. This isn't help. This is control. This is him deciding I'm too pathetic to handle my own life. She grabbed her phone and texted Ethan. We need to talk. Now. 5 minutes later, he knocked on the door. The smile on his face faded when he saw her expression. What's wrong? I heard you on the phone talking about paying my debts, covering Lila's college. Understanding dawned in his eyes. Then panic. Naomi, let me explain. Explain what? That I'm your charity case. That you feel so sorry for poor Naomi that you need to swoop in and save her. That's not what this is. Then what is it? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're trying to buy me. I'm trying to love you. Ethan's voice rose. I'm trying to make your life easier because I care about you. Is that so wrong? Yes, because you don't see me as equal. You see me as someone who needs rescuing, someone broken that you need to fix. That's not true, isn't it? You have all the power, Ethan, all the money, and I'm just the poor girl grateful for your attention. Tears streamed down her face. I can't do this. I can't be someone's project. Naomi, please, get out. Her voice was cold, final. Get out and don't come back. Don't do this. Let's talk about it. We can work through this. There's nothing to work through. We're from different worlds. We always have been. I was stupid to think we could bridge that gap. I love you. Love isn't enough. She opened the door. Goodbye, Ethan. He stood there, pain written across his face. I'm not giving up on us. You should. He left. The door closed. And Naomi sank to the floor, sobbing into her hands, while Lila held her and said nothing because there was nothing to say. Outside, Ethan sat in his car with his head against the steering wheel and felt his heart shatter into a million pieces. The next 3 days were the worst of Naomi's life. She went to work, came home, cried herself to sleep. Repeat. Her phone buzzed constantly with texts from Ethan. She deleted them all without reading them. He left voicemails. She erased those too. She couldn't bear to hear his voice, couldn't bear to let him explain away what she'd heard, because deep down she knew the truth. They were too different. His world and hers would never fit together. Lila watched her with worried eyes, but said nothing. What could she say? Naomi had finally opened her heart, and it had broken all over again. On the 4th day, Naomi was cleaning the executive floor when she sensed someone watching her. She looked up. Gwen stood there, arms crossed, a cruel smile on her perfect face. Well, back where you belong, on your knees, scrubbing floors. Naomi ignored her and kept working. I heard about your little breakup, Gwen continued. How does it feel? To realize you were just a charity project? Go away. Did you really think someone like Ethan would end up with someone like you, a janitor with nothing to offer? Gwen laughed. You were a distraction, a rebellion phase, nothing more. Naomi's hands tightened on the mop handle. Don't react. Don't give her the satisfaction. You know what the saddest part is? Gwen leaned closer. You probably actually believed he loved you. How pathetic. Something inside Naomi snapped. She stood, facing Gwen directly. You're right. I'm a janitor. I'm broke. I wear secondhand clothes and take the bus. But at least I'm real. At least I know how to love someone without conditions. You're beautiful and rich and you have everything. Except a heart. Gwen's smile faltered. Ethan didn't leave you because of me, Naomi continued, her voice steady now. He left you because you're empty inside, and no amount of money or beauty can fix that. You little... Is there a problem here? Both women turned. Ethan stood at the end of the hallway, his expression dark. Ethan, darling, I was just... Gwen started. Get out. His voice was ice. Get out of this building. Get out of my life. I never want to see you again. You can't be serious. I'm trying to help you see. Now, Gwen, or I call security. For once, Gwen had nothing to say. She shot Naomi a venomous look, then strutted away, heels clicking sharply against the floor. Silence fell between Ethan and Naomi. You didn't have to do that, Naomi said quietly. Yes, I did. She had no right to talk to you that way. He took a step closer. Naomi, please, can we talk? There's nothing to talk about. I disagree. There's everything to talk about. Ethan, I know you're angry. I know you think I was trying to control you or pity you, but that's not what it was. I swear. Naomi shook her head. It doesn't matter. It matters to me. You matter to me. She wanted to believe him. God, how she wanted to believe him, but fear held her tongue. I have to get back to work, she whispered. She walked past him, and he didn't try to stop her, but she could feel his eyes on her back, heavy with sadness. That evening, Naomi's boss, Mr. Lawson, asked her to stay after her shift. She sat in his small office, worried she was getting fired. Relax, Naomi. You're not in trouble, he smiled kindly. I wanted to check on you. You've seemed distracted lately. I'm fine, sir. Are you? Because I've seen that look before. Heartbreak. It's written all over your face. Naomi's eyes filled with tears. She tried to blink them away. Mr. Lawson handed her a tissue. Want to talk about it? And suddenly she did. Everything poured out. Ethan, their history, the reunion, the kiss, the gala, the overheard phone call, all of it. When she finished, Mr. Lawson was quiet for a moment. Can I tell you something? he finally said. My wife and I, we came from different worlds too. She was a lawyer. I was a janitor, just like you. Her family hated me, said I wasn't good enough, that I was using her. Naomi looked up, surprised. But Margaret didn't care what they thought. She loved me and I loved her. We've been married 32 years now. He leaned forward. The question isn't whether you're from different worlds. The question is whether you're brave enough to build a new world together. But he tried to pay my debts without telling me. Did he? Or was he trying to ease your burden because seeing you struggle broke his heart? Mr. Lawson's eyes were gentle. Sometimes love looks like help. Sometimes it looks like sacrifice. The trick is learning to receive it without losing yourself. I don't know how to do that. Start by asking yourself this. Does he see you as less than? Or does he see you as someone he wants to lift up because he loves you? Naomi thought about Ethan defending her at the gala, meeting Lila with flowers, listening to her stories like they mattered, looking at her like she was the most precious thing in the world. He makes me feel seen, she whispered. Like I matter, like I'm worth something. Then maybe the question isn't whether he pities you. Maybe it's whether you believe you deserve to be loved. The words hit like a punch to the gut, because that was it, wasn't it? Her whole life, she'd been taught that struggle meant strength, that accepting help meant weakness, that she had to do everything alone or she was a failure. But what if that was wrong? What if letting someone love her, really love her, was the bravest thing she could do? I'm scared, she admitted. Love is scary, but loneliness is scarier. Mr. Lawson stood. Go home, Naomi. Think about what you really want. Not what you think you deserve, but what you actually want. Then be brave enough to reach for it. Naomi went home and found Lila waiting with crossed arms. We need to talk, not you too. Yes, me too. Because I'm tired of watching you sabotage your own happiness. Lila sat her down on the couch. You gave up everything for me. Your dreams, your future, your chance at love. You sacrificed your whole life so I could have mine. That's what family does. I know, and I'm grateful. But Nay, you've spent 10 years making sure I was okay. When do you get to be okay? Tears filled Lila's eyes. When do you get to be happy? I am happy. Liar. You're surviving. That's not the same thing. Lila grabbed her hands. Ethan loves you. I saw it when he came over. The way he looked at you, like you hung the moon. And I saw the way you looked at him, like he was home. It's not that simple. Why not? Because he has money and you don't? Who cares? That doesn't change what you feel. He tried to pay my debts behind my back. So what? He saw you struggling and wanted to help. That's what people do when they love someone. Lila squeezed her hands. Don't confuse love with pity. He doesn't pity you. He admires you. I could see it in his eyes. You're the strongest person he knows. I don't feel strong right now. That's because being vulnerable is hard. But you taught me that the hardest things are usually the most worthwhile. Lila smiled through her tears. You deserve this, Nay. You deserve to be loved, to be cherished, to let someone take care of you for once. Please don't throw it away because you're scared. Naomi pulled her sister into a hug and cried. For everything she'd lost, everything she'd sacrificed, everything she was too afraid to reach for. What if I lose him again? She whispered. What if you don't? What if this is your chance at forever? The next day, Naomi went to work with a plan. She was going to talk to Ethan, really talk, lay everything out, figure out if they could make this work. But when she got to the office, he wasn't there. Mr. Cross called in, Monica said when Naomi asked. Cancelled all his meetings. First time in 5 years he's missed work without an emergency. Worry gnawed at Naomi's stomach. Was he sick? Hurt? That evening she stayed late finishing her shift. The building was empty except for her. She was cleaning an office on the 20th floor when she heard footsteps. Ethan walked toward her, looking exhausted. His tie was loose, his hair messy. Dark circles shadowed his eyes. Naomi, her heart clenched. You look terrible. I feel terrible. I can't eat, can't sleep, can't focus on anything except you. He stopped a few feet away. I skipped a board meeting today, a critical one that I've been preparing for all month. I couldn't do it. Couldn't pretend to care about mergers and numbers when the only thing that matters is losing you. Ethan, let me say this, please. He took a shaky breath. You're right. I did try to help you financially without asking, and that was wrong. I should have talked to you first. Should have respected your independence. I'm sorry. Naomi's throat tightened. But I need you to understand something, Ethan continued. I wasn't trying to fix you or save you. I was trying to love you the only way I knew how. With money and power, the tools I have. I didn't know how else to show you that I'd do anything for you, that your struggles are my struggles, that I want to carry your burdens, because that's what love is. I know that now, Naomi said softly. I was scared. I thought you saw me as less than, as someone who needed rescuing. Never. You're the strongest person I know. You raised your sister. You survived impossible odds. You kept your heart open even when life kept trying to close it. How could I ever see you as anything but extraordinary? Tears spilled down her cheeks. The truth is, Ethan's voice cracked, I'm the one who needs rescuing. I've been lost for 12 years, going through the motions, building this empire but feeling empty inside. Then you walked back into my life, and suddenly I remembered what it felt like to be alive. You saved me, Naomi, not the other way around. I'm scared, she whispered, terrified actually, of getting hurt, of not being enough, of losing you again. I'm scared too. Scared I'll mess this up. Scared you'll realize you're too good for me. Scared I'll wake up and this will all be a dream. He moved closer. But I'd rather be scared with you than safe without you. Naomi looked into his eyes and saw everything. His fear, his hope, his absolute unwavering love. I don't want you to pay my debts, she said. Okay. Or cover Lila's college. Okay. But I do want to be with you. Figure this out together, as equals. Ethan's face broke into the most beautiful smile. Equals. I can do equals. Even if it's hard, even if people judge us, especially then, we'll face them together. He cupped her face in his hands. I love you, Naomi Harris. I loved you at 17. I loved you through 12 years of missing you, and I'll love you for the rest of my life if you'll let me. I love you too, she whispered. I never stopped. I was just too scared to admit it. He kissed her then, deep and slow and full of promise. All the fear and doubt melted away, leaving only this moment, this love, this choice to be brave. When they finally pulled apart, both crying, Naomi laughed through her tears. What? Ethan asked, smiling. We're a mess. The best kind of mess. They held each other in that empty office while the city lights twinkled outside. Two people from different worlds, building a bridge between them. One choice, one moment, one leap of faith at a time. 3 weeks later, Naomi walked into Cross Industries for the first time as Ethan's girlfriend. Not an employee, not a secret, his partner. She wore a simple dress and held her head high. People stared, whispered. She didn't care. Ethan met her in the lobby, took her hand and walked her through the building, introducing her, making sure everyone knew she was important to him, that she mattered. Monica smiled at her. Some of the executives nodded respectfully. A few looked uncomfortable, but Ethan's message was clear. Naomi was here to stay. Accept it or leave. In his office, Ethan pulled her close. How do you feel? Terrified, excited, happy. She laughed. All of it at once. Good. That's how life should feel. They had lunch together in his office, made plans for the weekend, talked about the future in tentative, hopeful terms. Nothing was perfect. There were still challenges ahead, bills to pay, worlds to bridge, obstacles to overcome, but they would face them together. On Saturday, Ethan took Naomi and Lila back to Riverside Park, the place where it all began. They walked the familiar paths, holding hands, remembering. The air was crisp with early fall. Leaves crunched under their feet. There, Naomi pointed, our tree. The old oak stood tall and strong, branches reaching toward the sky. Their initials were still carved in the trunk, weathered but visible. EC plus NH. Ethan pulled out a pocket knife. What are you doing? Naomi asked. Making it official. He carved carefully, adding to the old inscription. When he finished, it read, EC plus NH. Then, now, forever. Naomi's eyes filled with tears. Forever is a long time, not long enough. He pulled her close. I meant what I said. I want forever with you, marriage, family, building a life together, all of it. We haven't even been dating that long. I've loved you for 13 years. I think I've waited long enough. Lila cleared her throat from where she'd been pretending not to listen. Is this the part where you propose? Because if it is, I want to watch. Ethan laughed. Not yet, but soon, when the time is right. He looked at Naomi, his eyes full of promise. I'm going to marry you someday, Naomi Harris. Fair warning. Fair warning received, she said, smiling so wide her cheeks hurt. They sat on their bench and watched the sun set over the pond. Gold and orange painted the sky. Ducks floated lazily. Children played in the distance. I never thought I'd get this, Naomi said softly. A second chance. Real love. A future to look forward to. You deserve all of it, and more. We both do. She rested her head on his shoulder. We found our way back. Forever this time, Ethan promised. Lila took a photo of them on her phone. Two people from different worlds, choosing each other, choosing love, choosing courage over fear. Later, when Naomi looked at that photo, she would see it, the happiness in their eyes, the rightness of them together, the promise of all the tomorrows waiting ahead. 6 months later, Naomi stood in the same park, wearing a simple white dress. Lila stood beside her as maid of honor. A small group of friends and family gathered around. Ethan waited under the oak tree, looking at her like she was a miracle. Mr. Lawson walked her down the makeshift aisle. "Proud of you, kiddo. Thank you for everything. That's what family does." She reached Ethan and he took her hands. They were both crying before the ceremony even started. The officiant spoke about love and second chances, about bridges between worlds, about courage. When it was time for vows, Ethan went first. "Naomi, you taught me that love isn't about money or status or what the world thinks. It's about choosing someone every single day, seeing them completely, and loving them anyway. You are my choice. Today, tomorrow, always." Naomi's turn. "Ethan, you taught me that accepting love doesn't make me weak. It makes me brave. You saw me at my lowest and loved me anyway. You fought for us when I wanted to run. You're my home, my heart, my forever." They exchanged rings, simple gold bands that cost nothing compared to their worth. "I now pronounce you husband and wife." Their kiss was sweet and deep and full of joy. Everyone cheered. As they walked back down the aisle together, hand in hand, Naomi looked up at the oak tree, at their initials carved in the bark, EC plus NH. Then, now, forever. Some love stories end, others just take a break before beginning again. This was the forever kind. That night at their small reception in Tony's diner, Ethan pulled Naomi onto the makeshift dance floor. Donna had pushed back the tables. Someone's phone played their song. "Happy," Ethan whispered in her ear. "So happy it scares me." "Good. Stay scared. It means you care. I care. More than I ever thought possible." They swayed together, surrounded by everyone who mattered. Lila was laughing with friends. Mr. Lawson was eating pie. Even Monica from Ethan's office had come, genuinely happy for them. "What are you thinking about?" Ethan asked. "Everything. How far we've come. How different our lives are now." She looked up at him. "A year ago I was just surviving. Now I'm living. Really living. We both are. Thank you for not giving up on me, on us. Thank you for being brave enough to try." The song changed. They kept dancing, because this was just the beginning, the first dance of thousands, the first day of forever. Outside the diner windows, the park glowed under streetlights. The oak tree stood watch, holding their story in its bark, a reminder that some things, real things, true things, last. Love doesn't care about bank accounts or social status. It doesn't measure worth by wealth or judge by circumstances. Love sees the heart, honors the soul, chooses the person beneath all the surface things. Naomi and Ethan had learned that the hard way, through pain and separation, through pride and fear, through mistakes and second chances. But they'd learned, and now they got to live it. Every single day they would choose each other, through easy times and hard times, through joy and struggle, through everything life threw at them, because that's what love is. Not a fairy tale with a perfect ending, but a choice, made over and over again, day after day, moment by moment, and they chose each other, then, now, forever.